Hey guys, what's up? It's Ari with Fisher Motor Group. Hey, today I have some questions, and while I'm waiting for an appointment to show up, I figured I'd kind of go over them and see if I could answer them really quick. Let's see. First question: why did I decide to become a car dealer? Well, it's a good question. I really didn't decide to become a car dealer. I kind of fell into it in the sense that I've always loved cars. I had worked on them in the past. I had certainly bought a lot of cars just as a personal individual, and then traded them in, bought another one, traded it in. And I was actually looking for a job at a dealership one time, and a buddy of mine who worked there was like, hey, I want to start a used car lot, do you want to come help me? So absolutely. And so I ended up working with him for the next year. We got it up and running. Everything was going good, and then unfortunately, as partnerships go, it started to not work out so well. So I decided at that point I just wanted to do things a little bit differently, and I wanted to sell kind of different cars. So I didn't want to do the typical route that you usually would think of a used car salesman. I wanted to sell more of the higher end, older stuff and make sure that the cars were going to be really nice. So I left him, started Fisher Motor Group, and 2.5 years later, well, not even 2 years, here I am, Fisher Motor Group, selling older luxury high-end cars. What does it look like to be a dealer? How big and how small? Well, it's really just up to you as a person. I mean, do you want to just be by yourself with no employees, have a small little dealership, maybe 10 cars, I don't know, less cars than that even? It just depends on how big your overhead is going to be and how many cars a month you need to sell to make your overhead and then make some money on top of that. So, for me personally, my dream is to get up to at least 50 cars, maybe 60 or 70 eventually, and have a nice big warehouse where I store everything inside, maybe have a big parking lot out front that I can also park some extra overflow cars. But I want it to be more or less a big indoor showroom of like really clean, pristine examples of older luxury sports cars and higher end cars. So obviously I'm going to need some employees at that point. I can't just get there overnight, and I got to continually save money to keep reinvesting into my business. That's fine. That's where I want to be. Now, a lot of people, sometimes they do make it big and they want to get smaller. So what do? They fire a bunch of employees, they sell off a bunch of cars, and they just stick to what they can manage by themselves, and they're perfectly content doing that. So nothing wrong with it. It just depends on kind of what you want to do. Are used car dealers shady? Yes, they can be, absolutely. And I was pretty naive to this. I had known this as a consumer, but I was pretty naive to this being a dealer myself. First coming into the industry and kind of encountering other dealers, and it's very cutthroat. It's very, dog eat dog. It's, there's some camaraderie with it, and there are some kind of rules, I guess you could say, but there's no hard and fast rules. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much every man for himself. But there are a group of dealers who actually do care about one another, who are pretty honest and open, and they do want to sell a good product, and they enjoy what they do, and they have a passion for what they do. And that's really kind of where I try to fall. That's where I place myself into that category, because I actually care about cars. I care about people getting decent cars. Obviously, there's always a risk to the vehicles. They are sold as is. But I don't try to be overt about anything. I don't try to omit any information that would otherwise sway a customer not to buy a car. If you don't like the car, it's not the car for you. If we can't make a deal, it's not the car for you. No problem. Someone will buy it. I just have to make sure that the products I'm selling and the cars I'm selling are good enough to fit my criteria and allow me to feel good at night when I do sell a good car. So I think I understand why, though, back to the question, I think I understand why dealers are known to be shady. And believe it or not, as a used car dealer now, I encounter so many prospects that either call me up on the phone, they text me all day, they physically come to the store and want to haggle and beat me up and basically straight up fisticuffs, hardcore negotiation style, lowball me all day long, tell me how I should sell my cars and run my business, that I'm asking too much for XYZ car, blah blah blah, or so-and-so's brother's a dealer, so you can't take advantage of me. I want wholesale value for the car you're offering for sale. I get it all, I hear it all, and unfortunately it kind of gets me very you can become jaded very quickly and very skeptical of everybody that you encounter. So to that aspect of it, yes, car dealers can seem shady, but it's unfortunately because they're just so jaded, I think, most of the time, because you're dealing with so many just over-the-top hagglers and people who just try to beat you up all day long, that you've got a really tough skin, and eventually none of it gets to you. And unfortunately, that can kind of separate the dealer's emotions from the consumer's emotions in buying a car. And we all know buying a car is a very emotional process. So it can be hard to be open-minded to every single person, you know, with every word that they say. And you know, I learned that, unfortunately, relatively quickly. It happens. You become very skeptical, and it's very frustrating having to deal with some of these people on a continual basis. So I hope that kind of answers that question in a roundabout way. What kind of dealer do you want to be? Well, I kind of already answered that. I want to be a high-end luxury sports car dealership with about 50 to 70 cars in the future, with maybe 10 employees or so. I don't know. Nice big warehouse, really clean. Only the nicest cars I can find is ultimately what I want to get to. Now, here's a good one. Pros and cons of offering financing. So, Fisher Motor Group does not offer financing. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you offer financing? Everybody does. That's crazy. Believe it or not, it's a choice. I just don't care to offer financing, number one. I might do some smaller kind of in-house financing on like some really cheap kind of A to B cars, you know, the cars that'll get the customer from home to work and back to home again. So we're talking like less than $4,000 cars typically. I don't like to finance anything over that, number one, because it's just, if I finance every single deal, I'm losing money until that money starts to accumulate enough to start then making sense and coming back to me every single month or every single week. So it takes a lot of capital to get going running a buy here, pay here car dealership. Number two, the caliber of people that you typically are dealing with, I mean, it's not uncommon to have to repo 3 or 4 vehicles out of 5 or 6 sales. So, which a lot of people say is the whole point, because then you can keep making money on the same car, essentially. That's not who I want to be. I don't want to be a collection agency, and so that's why I don't do it. Now, I could offer financing through like a bank or another kind of subprime lender out there. I choose not to do that because it's just a ton of extra paperwork and time I just don't feel like spending. And literally their interest rates are gonna be high 20% anyway. And I just tell people like, look, you're way better off going to your own credit union, securing a loan that way, that you can then buy any car that you want, and you're gonna have realistic interest rates that aren't gonna pretty much bankrupt you every time you need to make a payment for your car. So it takes a little more legwork on the customer side of things, but it's so much more worth it, and it helps the customer out in the future, because then they're actually building their credit up in their history with a specific credit union, that when it comes time to buy a house or something like that, they already have this long history of making payments on a car. So that's what I recommend people do. Of course, I could sell more cars if I did offer financing, but I just that's not what I want to be doing right now. Do people still pay with cash? So that's kind of a good segue off the last one. You'd be surprised. Yes, people do still pay with cash, literally. I mean, I had a Ducati motorcycle. A guy came and dropped $16,000 in cash. I've sold many cars that are $10, $11, $12,000, and they'll literally start counting out $100 bills. Now, it's funny because as a used car dealer, we are exposed to a lot of cash a lot of the time, and like big amounts of cash, you know, relatively speaking. And I'll get people who will literally like text me, you know, hey, I see your $8,000 BMW 5 Series. I'll give you $6,000 all in $100 bills, cash money. And it's like, is that supposed to impress me or like tempt me into taking your offer for $2,000 less than what I'm asking because you have cash, you know, $100 bills, crisp? I had a guy write, I got 5,000 crisp $100 bills fresh out of the ATM. Okay, that's awesome, but I'm asking $7,000 or $8,000 for this car, so unfortunately I can't take your money. Now, if you want to give me that money and come up with another $2 or $3 grand, be my guest. Otherwise, I'll take a check. I don't really care. So yes, a lot of people do still pay with cash. Let's see. The importance of pictures. So essentially this person saying that when they went car shopping that they saw a whole bunch of cars at other dealerships, and there was like trash in the cup holders, there was, you know, rocks and leaves on the footwells of the cars, and the cars were pretty dirty overall. Even when they went there to go check the cars out, supposedly the cars were actually pretty filthy. Now, I get this, and the pictures sometimes are really bad. Sometimes you get pictures that are almost so good that the dealership is hiding what they don't want you to see. Otherwise, a car looks amazing. Other times, though, you see pictures where it's like literally the sun is blasting in the background, and all you see is a black silhouette of a car, and you're supposed to determine if like the side's dented in, or if it needs tires, or even what color it is. I mean, they just sometimes take crappy pictures, or they'll only take like 4 or 5 pictures. My philosophy on that is take as many pictures as you can. I usually do about 37 to 43, 44 pictures every single car, depending on the car. Also, make sure you edit the pictures. At least bump up the contrast a little bit, bump the shadows up so people can see kind of in the wheel wells. Sometimes I even take the highlights down a little bit if I'm taking a picture of the hood, because I want people to be able to see that there's no scratches or chips in the hood of certain cars. So all of that really helps to display what the car actually is, instead of trying to put it out there like it's something it's not, right? I want the pictures to be accurate representation of what somebody's gonna see when they come look at the car. It just helps. I mean, it's like the philosophy, I think, of some people that post the price of the vehicle online, and some dealerships don't call for price. It's really just up to the independent dealership. You know, I'll post 40 pictures of a car, and this guy will post 4 pictures of a car. Maybe they think because it's kind of mysterious, maybe it'll kind of build some intrigue in the customer to find out. Maybe I'll call them just to find out what their price is, or maybe I'll stop by so I can see more than just 4 pictures of a car. I kind of look at it as like, okay, I'll tell you the price and I'll show you completely what the car looks like in very good detail. You know, that way you're not going to waste your time, I'm not going to waste my time, and you can see just how nice this car is. And by the way, this is what I'm asking for it. And by the way, I don't have any dealer fees, so just sales tax and registration. I have a philosophy of just trying to have some integrity, being honest, being transparent, you know, and doing business the right way. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching this video. Please, as always, if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It helps other people see this video as well. Also, if you want to support my channel and help me grow, you can click on the subscribe button down below, and that would certainly help me out a lot. So, alright guys, well, until next time, see ya!